Did you send me a report?
No.
I do.
You need a red one? Yeah, yeah. I
Now,
just had two things to say. I was thinking going into that before. No, it might be a small one.
oh,
So, it's all ready to go. I was thinking about if I should add more.
okay, well, yeah.
Left by
I didn't want to.
11:59 PM today.
Oh, tomorrow.
Okay.
Hmm.
I believe all systems are go. Yes.
Some stuff come up.
I expected Tyler to be on Zoom,
Yeah. And here it is.
but I don't see him.
Stop Stonington.
Is he in a different time zone,
What'd you say?
Tyler?
What about him?
Is he in a different time zone?
No, he's in Ohio.
That doesn't account for him not being here.
Right. It might mean that he's not able to get on the internet where he's trying right now.
All right, are we ready? I'd like to call the meeting to order at 6:04. Additions or deletions?
Are we supposed to vote on the mowing thing?
We're going to, yeah, did I not put it on business?
Nope.
Good point. And that,
Did we get more information on that Century quote? Or
Okay.
we're just going through with it?
for the heat detector.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Tyler's gonna look into it. And I don't know that he finished doing it yet.
Okay.
Didn't I have an addition? Cause I don't see it as an addition.
Well, we'll just wait until next month.
Mhm.
or next meeting.
I just want to put something on as an addition, but it doesn't show up in my,
Not mine either.
what was it? What it was.
There was something else?
There was something I intended to add, and I thought I had put it on as a late addition, and in fact,
No.
I sent a message to the board.
I have a call
Saying,
from Tyler.
sharing the documents and saying that I put them in the meeting folder and I had put it on as an addition to the meeting. And what was it?
You're asking the wrong
Approval of
people.
the town community development housing rehab program application.
Yes,
That's on there. isn't it?
That was on, you added that on. But that was something I think you
I
added,
think that's what happened is it got moved down to 9.3,
9.3.
which I didn't do, but that's why it's not if there are additions and deletions.
Yeah.
It's kind of a late thing, you know, when that close to the meeting, it belongs under two.
Yeah,
Tyler needs a link.
He needs a link?
Yeah.
Oh,
What's the link?
why does he need a link? You could go to
Probably tried
go to
to,
the website and click on it.
The
Joe.
website should have
that
it.
was probably the
Can you-
phone call you didn't answer.
Oh, that could be.
Okay. Yeah, let me know if it's. Check the word down.
Right?
Joel, is there any way that you can turn up the volume on the speaker?
No, I think it's up all the way.
It's your voice, I can hardly hear you here.
I'll have to speak louder, that's all. It can be done.
Thank you.
I think it's turned up all the way.
I mean, it seems fine. It is. No, it is, but I think it's fine where it is.
Yeah, it's really loud when it's. So we've paused the action momentarily while Tyler tries to find his way to the meeting. because he informed us that he couldn't be back in time and consequently would be attending remotely.
If you have time and feel like messing around, try turning up the input gain within Zoom, what that microphone is feeding into. It's under the menu that's audio settings.
That's interesting. It's on this computer.
Yeah, you go all the way down to the bottom left,
Yeah,
hit the up caret.
the carrot.
Go to the audio settings.
Where are they?
Yeah, that's the bottom option.
Ah, yes, bottom option.
And there's a
Crank-
checkbox in the middle that says automatically adjust microphone volume. Uncheck it, turn up the input volume a little bit, and then check it again. It
Right,
actually makes a difference.
So maybe touch up the input volume level, Joel.
Input level.
See it?
Yes, you can.
And
There you
as
go.
you're talking, look at the graph.
You need to use the mouse.
When I talk in a normal voice, it
No, mouse
basically
doesn't
goes
say.
all the way up to green and just barely hits the yellow.
How would you slide this? I don't know.
Oh, yeah, it's like the.
You don't have a mouse.
Not for that,
No, you
not
kinda
for that
do.
computer.
See, let's do that.
Ah,
Turn it all the way up.
All right,
Well, no,
that's fine. That's fine. You're doing good.
okay. Oh, can you see our audio settings, Ted?
No, I can't, unfortunately, but I can hear them.
You can hear it. Yeah.
Now you're as loud as I am.
All right,
Maybe
good.
louder.
All right. Maybe. All right. Thank you.
Tyler's here.
Tyler here.
Yes. Hi. Thanks.
Hi. Good to have you with us.
Yep. Good to be here.
Okay, so
Wish I
we're-
could be there in person.
Yeah. We just went through the additions and deletions, of which there was one addition, which was to add the award of the mowing. And we're now ready to move to privilege of the floor. Is there anyone who would like to address the board?
I would.
Okay, who's that?
Might have been.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, it's me.
Oh, did you want to say something, Brian?
Yes, I was absent from the last meeting. And I understand that there was some confusion. And I just wanted to read this from the town. I believe it's town law, section 30. Powers and duties of the town clerk. This is 10A. In the event that the town clerk is absent or unable to act and there is no duly appointed and qualified first deputy town clerk present and able to act, the town board may appoint as deputy town clerk any person other than a member of the town board. So thank you for appointing Blake. I appreciate that. That's all I
Thank you for
got.
that clarification.
Welcome.
Rhonda,
Good evening, everyone. So I noticed that I went through the minutes during the morning after they were posted. And then I went through them again in the afternoon and I noticed that 9.2 was added. And it looks to me like there is I would like to suggest, I don't see how you can establish a hearing on this or talk about it without the public being aware of this. There are all kinds of editorial errors in it, and I would like to have kind of like a charrette meeting where everybody is able to zoom in and be brought on board with this and make suggestions to it. One of the things that I would say is that over the years, the 48 years since I've moved here, every one of the collisions and accidents, or whatever you want to call them, that's happened out here has not been somebody from Danby. Not one time, not once. And so that needs to be dealt with. These are not necessarily Danby people that are causing the problem. And to put 2040 on, I'm certainly not going to be around in 2040. So I wouldn't want to make plans for it. So that's the first thing that I have for that matter. I also wanted to ask you, since I'm having trouble getting an answer via email, have you sent to Keith the request that I made about the speed limit on South Danby Road, and have him send it to Nadia Vetter Burton, Brearton, at the New York State DOT, or have you not? Because I keep asking you to do this and I get nothing. So the third thing is that I have a real issue with the fact that, again, I keep asking for things and not getting any response, not even, I don't want to talk about it. And one of the things that I keep bugging you about is the fact that during the hearings for Norbit, before they were building anything and had this plan, Joel, we were told by you that this was going to benefit the town of Danby, and that we were going to be able to somehow get a reduction on our electric rates, and we have gotten nothing, not a thing from Norbit out of it, not a thing. And I want to know why, because the people in the town of Danby voted to allow that array, thinking they were going to personally benefit, and they have not. So there needs to be some sort of explanation. Are you listening, Tyler? I really want you to think about this, because this is what happened, and I'm not getting anything from the people who allowed Norbit to build that array. So those are three things. I've taken up my 3 minutes, and thank you very much, and have a great evening.
Rhonda,
Thanks.
I do want to
No,
let you know, Rhonda,
no.
I'm just in very bright light. So if it looks like I'm squinting, like I'm not taking you seriously, it's just that I'm in bright light. I was listening carefully to what you were saying.
No, I was mentioning you in particular because you weren't around when this happened. So I
Gotcha.
want you to understand that this is a serious problem, that promises were made,
Half
and
turn.
there have been no promises.
Okay,
Thank you.
Ted.
Hi, thanks. Three compliments. Thank you, Mariah, for clearing up that issue about the clerk. Second, it's really wonderful. I can see everybody in the room fairly clearly. And thank you for finally turning up the input gain so we can hear you.
Thanks for
Robert,
pointing out how to do it.
I've been pointing it out for months. Rhonda mentioned road safety, and you're mentioning it. I would just like to thank the volunteers. I don't have the names of all of them, but we had a bunch of volunteers who were doing the road cleanup on Route 96B this last weekend. The weather held out, and I can report that this is subjective. I can report that we found less debris from road accidents than we have in past years. Bunch of small stuff, where the police swept it off the road, but nothing big, which is a big step forward. So I'd like to compliment the drivers who are passing through Danby. And finally, Rhonda also mentioned Norbit. And this was just a passing conversation I had with a resident of Bald Hill Road. And they were a little bit miffed about the fact that the array is in operation at least some of the time, and they can clearly hear the inverters, which I understand. I'm repeating what they said, but it makes sense. I understand that that was promised not to be the case. In other words, there is a persistent low hum from the inverters or from the fans in the inverters. I'm not complaining, but I think it's something that you may be keeping an eye on for the future, because it was promised that there would be no noise. So with that, thank you. I'm looking forward to the meeting.
Okay. Jack,
Just bi-weekly bothering about the skate park. It'd be nice to start talking about all the weather's good. There's potential donations and grants.
right.
So it'd be nice to get a start on that. If it's a thing that's gonna happen, if not, I can just about it.
I have a question about the skate park.
Yeah.
Is that intended to be a business or like a free to the
No.
public type space?
No,
Public park, they could eventually have a playground and other park amenities.
Roller coaster.
yeah, roller coaster, right? There was the possibility of applying for state grant, but the deadline is the end of April.
It's already over. We weren't in a position to apply for that.
Yeah, and there's an awful lot of competition for that part of money too.
Yeah, we were not in a position to apply.
Yeah. So the question is, where can we get funds to,
Should we add this to the agenda instead of having this conversation
want
right
to?
here? I don't know, but we're in the privilege of the floor right now.
it's true.
I think that that's one of the things that it's been asked for, is for it to be part of our agenda. Yeah.
Mhm. Well, it wasn't added before, but we can add it now. Let's talk about it. Okay, no correspondence, I don't believe. Oh, I have an announcement though. I got a, Harris Weiss, who's our link to Governor Hochul's office, sent me an email today indicating that we were successful in getting the state
Yes.
grant for the charging stations. That combined with the nice, are we assured of the NICEAG money?
Are we what with the NICEAG money?
Is because the total funding was a package, is a combination of the state funding and NICEAG Make Ready. And I don't know where we are with the NICEAG Make Ready, but I think that was more assured.
Okay, you just sent me the announcement like right before the meeting.
Yeah,
I'm looking.
yeah.
No, I know it was $11,400.
Yes,
Two
which is
charging stations.
not the whole amount that's needed to do it, but it's a substantial part of it, and it's the part that was most in question. So this is good
We'll
news.
have to ask Jim.
Yes. So I just shared that news with Jim. This is a good thing. Let's see. Dan is here, isn't he? I thought he was. Yes, he is here. Dan Klein.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ma'am.
Good
Hello
to see
there.
you.
Thank you. Give me just a moment here, please. Okay. Yes, hi. I do have a number of things to report tonight. First of all, I've mentioned before that the county is keeping track of the federal funding that we receive and where it goes and all that. And it looks like we're losing our first employees due to federal cuts. These are 4 employees in the whole health department. It's called the Public Health Fellows Program.
Oh, yes.
And that is being eliminated from the federal funding is being eliminated. So we'll have to figure out what to do, but this is 4 employees now that look like they're going to lose their job. And then we've hearing that our county office for the aging is probably going to lose quite a bit of federal funding, but we don't have details yet about exactly what that is or how many employees that might affect and what program. So I will report that when I learn it. I wanted to report about the idea of countywide ambulance. There is a lot of discussion about this, but it's in the very early stages. And I know that TCOG, the Tompkins County Council of Governments, is really interested in this subject. And there was a meeting with TCOG representatives and county representatives, and then there was another TCOG meeting. And I believe as early as next week, maybe in 2 weeks, the county is going to have some information about a possible proposal to expand what's called the Rapid Medical Response Program. That's something we started last year. It's been very successful. And that is running 3 vehicles through the county. But they're not ambulances. They don't transport people. So we're in serious discussions about expanding that program and into ambulances. And that's going to be something that's going to benefit Danby and all the rural towns. So again, I will report on more of the details as they unroll. I want to talk about broadband for a minute. It's been almost a full year since the county submitted its proposal to New York State. We were assured that our proposal was really good and that's exactly what they were looking for, and they had the money and blah, blah, blah. And every time someone asks me about this, and I really do think this is the single biggest question I get asked by residents of Danby about, when is this broadband coming? Every time they asked, I would say any day, any week now, and New York State has made a liar out of me. What they have now told us just very recently is New York State has told us that they are going to, in a way, start again. It's not quite as bad as it sounds, but the program that we applied to, they're not going to do anything with right now. They're going to shift us over to a different New York State program. And the reason for that is they want to use the federal money before they use the New York State money, for reasons that you might imagine, which is the federal money could disappear tomorrow. So, you know, I have no issue with their thinking on this. I can't explain their delay, and I really can't make a prediction now about how much longer it's going to take to find out if the county broadband program is getting funded. Just to remind you, what the county applied for was enough money to reach every unserved house in Tompkins County with broadband. So I'm optimistic, but I don't have any way to predict when this will happen.
Yeah, what's the federal money aimed at that they're sort of refocusing on using first?
So I am not at a high enough level to understand the ins and outs of all the broadband programs in New York State, but they kind of gave us the message that they would basically be switching our application from one program to the other, and that we shouldn't, this is how I understand at least, that we shouldn't, we're still in line to get exactly what we asked for the project we asked for, but they, because they're using a different pool of money, had to shift it to a different program. I don't know if that answered your question.
Well, I don't know that you can answer it, but because it's not obvious why they didn't just do that, you know, where it was in the first place, but.
The federal cuts are happening now.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you know,
Reason that's
but
making
this
a
is in the
difference.
queue a long time.
And the changes are current.
Yes,
Yeah, but the question was, what about the money that was supposed to be used? What about that? That's what I think.
well, what I want to know, what I was curious about was, you know, what's the federal money?
Oh, so
Wasn't there federal money before? And if what are we shifting to?
Yes. So New York State set up a bunch of different programs. And again, I can't really, I don't understand them enough to explain the differences, but I know, for instance, I know there's one that was just aimed at municipally owned broadband, and that's the one that Dryden and Caroline got. Then there was another one that was called the county something program, and that's what we had applied through, but now we're going over a different program. So again, I can't actually answer your question, just to say that New York State had a bunch of different programs with different names on them. And I guess that had different funding sources.
Yeah. Well,
And then I do have one more thing to report. The county highway work plan for the summer has been released. And before I tell you the details, I'm always told that I need to say that this is tentative, that it can change based on emergencies that pop up. It can change based on weather. It could change based on unexpected cost overruns, etc. So with that in mind, here are the Danby projects that are supposed to be happening this summer. And there's quite a few of them. So first of all, for chip sealing, the following projects are supposed to be done this summer. Troy Road from Nelson Road to the town of Ithaca line. Comfort Road from Jersey Hill Road to 96B. South Danby Road, the entire length. And Hillview Road, the entire length. And then for paving, Nelson Road from Hornbrook Road to Troy Road, and Comfort Road from Gunderman Road to Jersey Hill Road. So that is quite a bit. And it turns out, as I look around the room here, it affects quite a few of the people in the room directly. So that's kind of coincidence, but good news. So that is my report, and I'm happy to answer more questions if you have them.
But, Dan, I saw that list because it went before the committee, and the agenda for the committee is shared with me. And I was astonished that Station Road is not on the list for repaving, since it was supposed to have been repaved last year, and then it got deferred from the year before, and now it disappeared from the list altogether. What's up with that?
I don't know, but I can ask.
May I ask a brief question about broadband?
Oh, Dan?
Yeah, of course. It's your meeting, Joel.
Sure, go ahead, Ted.
Oh, sure. I've been having some internet problems lately, so I've been very involved in my personal situation. But along in there, I remember that Danby was assigned to Point Broadband, perhaps, or to Clarity. And I've been hearing that Point Broadband is not necessarily a long-term going concern. That's just a rumor. Do you know anything about that?
You know, Ted, the only place I heard that was here last month. I heard you say that, and I did not inquire about it. So I guess I truly don't know.
Okay. Anytime you want to hear a long story about Verizon and the failure of American corporate structure, I have a good story.
Okay, maybe I'll wait for the movie to come out.
It'd be somewhere between a comedy and a mystery.
Okay, thanks, Dan.
You're welcome. Thank you.
If you don't have anybody from Highway, the April 7th Town Board meeting minutes.
I move that we approve the April 7th Town Board meeting minutes.
I'll second that. Any adjustments or good to go?
Nice job.
Yeah,
Thanks. The collaboration as usual.
Just say thanks.
Yes.
Just let somebody say thanks.
So appreciated. Mariah, vote.
Connors,
yes,
Hunter,
Yes.
Stein,
Yes.
Woodworth,
Yes,
Mannion.
Yes.
Thank you.
Interesting.
what'd you get to eat?
What are you doing?
Yeah, there's no highway fund, no water fund this time.
Yeah, there's no water.
Yeah.
I'll move the general fund voucher 147 through 177 for $19,778.52.
second,
Any questions? That haven't been addressed in yours. Any questions not addressed?
No. I did have a question about what was the office generator. I didn't know that they have a generator over at Highway
Oh, yeah.
in the office, yeah. It was a big bill for $15.87 for gas.
Yeah. It's a gas powered generator.
Hmm?
The gas powered generator.
Yeah. Hope it's vented.
Mhm. Okay, I guess we're ready for the vote.
Banners,
Yes.
Hunter,
Yes.
Did you know?
What
it?
time? What is that noise that's happening after each of our votes?
I don't know.
Sounds like something with Mariah's
It must,
audio.
It-
must be Mariah's microphone.
why is microphone what?
It's kind of buzzing.
It's okay.
Yeah,
So should I sit further back? Is that better?
no,
Maybe unplug it and plug it back in. I don't know.
Oh, you guys.
let's do the rest of the vote
Okay,
first.
Woodworth,
Yes.
Canyon,
Yes,
thank you.
Welcome.
I don't think you got mine on that one. I'm
Oh.
a yes.
Oh, Stein, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
you can still add it.
Think about that, Stein. Can I get you?
Yep, that's a yes. Yep.
Very good, thank you.
I'm with the highway fund vouchers 64 through 74 for $19,945.10.
Second.
Any discussion? We're allowing an opportunity for Greg to see if he can't remedy the situation with the microphone.
Okay,
Want to try it, Mara?
is this better?
No,
No, we didn't. I think.
That's all right. It's not terrible.
oh, well,
Could be worse.
yes, it could.
Connors,
Yes.
Hunter,
Yes.
Stein,
Yes.
Woodworth,
Yes.
Canyon,
Yes,
thank you.
you're welcome.
You don't happen to have like a USB cord that's touching your microphone cord, do you? Sometimes if you have like two cords touching each other, they can make that kind of a sound.
Is that better?
No, it doesn't really matter. It's not. It's fine
Okay.
though. It's not that bad.
The mystery, why now, and it's fine
Yeah,
before.
I know.
We didn't do announcements, did we? Are we not past that?
We passed,
Yeah.
it. Did you have an announcement?
Yeah, I didn't even hear any announcement, call for an announcement.
Well, because there were, well, I mentioned it, but there
Yeah.
were, I didn't know that there were any
He
to
made
be
an
made.
announcement.
I missed you.
Yeah,
He made an announcement.
I just want to remind everybody that it is, the duck race is coming up this Sunday
oh,
and it's still possible to get your ducks. So it starts at, I think at 1. This is a little map of it from kids, which will be available in the town hall at the table at the entry. There's lots of them.
oh.
Thanks.
So, I have it on, well, the question mark is missing. I had a question mark after 9.1. Did you get the question mark?
I don't know.
It was supposed to be a question mark. The question mark is because, we could, vote on it since we've had the public hearing. This is to adopt real property tax law 467J. Or if people still have unanswered questions, Daley Yarrow, who couldn't be here this time, could come next time if you want an in-person.
Is that enough time? I mean, will that be enough time?
Well, evidently, because Greg checked it out, we're not under a deadline for the action after they have the public
Oh, really?
hearing. Yeah,
Not? Huh.
I
Okay.
thought there was a deadline, but evidently there's not.
As soon as practicable.
Yeah,
Yes,
I like that.
that's a good word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So,
mean, I was hoping to get more information about it.
Yeah, I actually when I looked into it, I realized that I was kind of misunderstanding the breadth of what we were actually voting on. I guess all we're really voting on is enacting that Part J,
that's right.
rather than
Right.
anything more, directly related to how any of this stuff would work.
Right, it just makes,
So-
it means that in Danby would be one of the places where people could get this reduction in their assessed value due to the participation in that program.
Right, because if, without us enacting Part J, you could hypothetically still do the program, but you wouldn't be able to get that benefit of the lower assessed value. You'd still have the full taxes
Right.
to pay on the property.
Right. It would be assessed on your full market value, despite the fact that you're legally constrained from getting that on the
Right.
market. Doesn't seem fair to
Exactly.
me, but
Yeah. When I realized that that all we were voting on is just enacting that Part J and that everything else is really already in place, that changed my mind on how much more research I need to do before I can vote on Part J. So I'm ready when anybody else is.
I move that we enact New York State Real Property Tax Law, section 467J.
right, which is a local law. Do we have a resolution of adoption?
Right here, yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, so you're moving that resolution.
I'm moving that
I'll second
resolution.
that.
That's what I read it off.
Okay. Any discussion before we vote? Okay, it looks like we're ready. All right.
Connors,
Yes.
Hunter,
Yes,
Stein,
Yes.
Woodworth,
Yes,
Gagnon.
Yes.
Thank you.
What local law number is this?
Number 3,
3?
yes.
Okay, got it.
Oh, is that, this,
I don't.
this is the old one, yeah.
Okay, next up, Vision Zero Joint Safety Action Plan Information Session and scheduling of adopting resolution. This is an ongoing thing. It's been going on for over a year, which has been regularly reported at times in the newsletter and at these meetings. It's not like it's a surprise that this is happening. Greg, you want to speak to where we are? This is the Safe Streets for All.
Oh, okay.
And then, what we do is we adopted it, but we, in the final stage is adopting this Vision Zero goal. The goal is 0 fatalities. That's the vision. And so we improve the safety of our roads using a variety of mechanisms, which this whole plan was aimed at identifying where the problems lie and what are the possible ways of reducing the risk of serious injury, in those places. And there's a plan, and the plan, has been developed with multiple opportunities for feedback along the way. And we're at all the municipalities that are participating are at the stage now of saying, okay, we're willing to adopt this vision and the goals for our municipality as part of it all.
Right. Did any of that feedback that was generated, did any of that get added in or?
Yeah, actually this, there's kind of two little subtopics here. So this request to pass this resolution, and it's linked in the agenda and we could pull it up, but what it is, I was looking at why are municipalities being asked for this? I actually linked it like an hour before the meeting.
Okay.
So we can put it on for the next meeting.
Okay.
But it's a requirement for the Safe Streets for All action plan. So the resolutions for the Vision Zero are the plans go to eliminate fatalities and reduce serious injuries by 50% by 2040. So it's just a requirement of these Safe Streets for All. That's this resolution basically saying that Danby is committing to reducing fatalities and serious injuries by 50% by 2040. And that's part of this. It'll go as an addendum and part of in the plan. That's one piece of this project. The other one that we looked at about a month or so ago at length and looking at the recommendations for Danby Road
Right.
and the segment and the intersection
of station and.
Right.
Station of 3496. They did incorporate a lot of our changes. I have some final suggestions to them. I went through and we can certainly go over those right now if you wanted, but they did incorporate a lot of the feedback into the plan.
I'd be interested unless
So
people don't.
Yeah, I'd like to know, I mean,
mean, if you.
Me too. I think it's a worthwhile use of our.
I mean, I'd
time.
be interested in having Greg go over it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
let me just connect to meeting.
have to.
I mean, as
immediately-
part of the, commitment to reduce the fatalities over the next, by 50%. Over the next X number of years, is part of that, by enacting what they have in the plan?
That's in theory, that's the purpose, yeah, that they're proposing, safety measures and improvements that will help to, they're design oriented, that they're gonna help reduce crashes.
Interesting, this interfaces with there's also a safety component to the counties, or the MPO's transportation plan for the county. And so they're parallel tracks, in fact, the 5-year plan for the
Right.
Metropolitan Planning Organization, which is the Ithaca Tompkins County Transportation Council, is also addresses this need.
Joel, did you grant me access to share?
That's what I was wondering about, whether
Not quite yet.
that computer has the control, and where.
Yeah, so if you go down to the share button. Share, or actually, or
Well,
participant.
that's me, the shares, it's in participant, yeah.
I added you, Greg.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, so we'll look at West Danby first. What's that?
I'm looking at the message from Otter. Hey, Town of Danby.
No,
Joel, would you mind just closing the chat box there? Although I guess
I guess you can have more of the screen available.
yeah, just a little bit more.
Where's the person? Where it is?
I can drive too.
There you go.
And I'll try to zoom in here. But I can go over what our initial comments were. And
is this like their revised copy?
yeah, it is.
Okay, is there any way to just, okay, go ahead. I was just gonna say, just point out what they changed.
Right,
But-
so a couple of and I'm
Just a bit
working
of-
on one screen here, so I'm gonna have to flip back and forth between
Oh,
my notes,
okay.
but
Mm-hmm.
so in West Danby, there was, the main thing was that speed limit reduction on Spencer Road should be prioritized. Right now it's
That's what we
55
said,
miles
right?
per hour.
Yeah.
And why aren't there crosswalks across Spencer Road was the question, there were crosswalks, right, there were crosswalks shown on Station and Maple, at the intersection.
Right.
That the rumble strip locations on Spencer Road maybe were too close to the intersection. And they actually removed those, so that's one of my repeat comments or just additional comments is why did you remove the rumble strips? Because I think those would be effective. So there weren't really many comments at this intersection in terms of the initial one.
Of course, the rumble strips add new noise, but
But what they are proposing, which I think is a little bit, here, I'll zoom in, sorry, and I don't have a mouse. So
not that much.
they're proposing a hawk signal across
What?
Spencer
A what?
Road. Hawk signal is the thing where you press the button and it flashes.
Oh, yeah?
Those are,
Oh, my God,
Those are-
across the highway?
yeah. But those are,
I mean,
They pay
they're
more
really
attention.
great.
Yeah.
Like if you're going through downtown Canandaigua and you're going 25 miles an hour,
right,
but it's 60 or 70 miles an hour. Anyway,
right, it almost might be too stark of a.
kids might have fun with it, yeah.
They're only
Anyway, if
activated
there's a
if
speed
somebody
limit-
pushes a button. They don't go.
Right, but if somebody's coming either direction and they're going 65 miles an hour and there's a, flashing light and somebody's walking across the road. Anyway, we'll have to see about the reduction in speed limit, right?
They added it as like a little note, a little footnote.
Yeah.
Here, this is it. Speed limit management. Further consideration should be given
to speed limit reduction on New York 34. Basically, this planning exercise is not them going through all of the steps to assess the speed limits and everything, and
Right.
they're really just looking at
Safety measures.
a lot of different safety measures, but at least, you know, if it's mentioned here, then maybe it could be pursued in the future. So those are the two biggest things, and they just not showing the rumble strips anymore. I mean, I'm not a traffic engineer, but I think rumble strips are pretty effective, at least of notifying drivers that something is coming up.
Yeah.
So they removed those entirely. They were shown.
The rumble strips combined with the flashing light.
Right.
Right. Okay.
Still talk of a future turnaround or a roundabout here, but that's, you know, maybe way down the road. But those are the only changes really that they.
What do they call those flashing lights? Hawk.
That's what I've always called them, as hawk signal, but
Hawk signal.
none in here, nowhere do they actually call it that.
What did they call it?
What did they call it? They called it a U-beam
Valerie
post.
Kaiser used a word like that on the phone, but it wasn't written or anything.
U-beam post, is that?
No, they're not calling it out as a specific thing unless it's.
Where's this existing U-beam post that they're referring to?
Yeah.
Hawk signal. High intensity activated crosswalk.
Okay. Yeah.
There you go.
Pedestrian activated traffic device that helps people safely cross busy streets.
Mhm.
So that's West Danby. Any other comments for West Danby? That mine are just, you know, keep the rumble strips there. And they're also still
Move
calling.
away.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I'll just jump to the. I'll jump to the segment. And I can make this, we had this available online at 1.2, or at least. So I think it's segment, let's see. Okay, so for this segment, this is Danby Road from Miller down to Michigan Hollow.
Right.
Comments that we had initially. Well, one, they showed that the speed limit was 55 miles an hour. It is 40.
Already.
We had that the crosswalks going across the side streets might not be that effective. Maybe more on 96B should be prioritized.
Did they respond?
No, they really didn't do that one. And then also with the graphic, there was I'll pull it up here.
Well, they showed sidewalks, but it wasn't clear which side.
It wasn't clear. They didn't make that clear on this one. It really wasn't.
Maybe they didn't make the side of the street for the sidewalk clear because they don't have the information they would need.
Correct, and that's what I gathered too, Tyler, was that. Oops. Sorry, where did that go? I just lost it. Hang on a second. Yeah, Tyler, that's what I got too, is that they did that intentionally, basically saying, yeah, we agree that this stretch of road should have a sidewalk, not on both sides though, it should be on one. So let me just go back to that, but I'll show you what I'm talking about. It's this graphic that they're showing.
Oh, right, it's got a sidewalk on one side.
Right, there's nothing that indicates
which side,
where, there's no north or south, there's no, yeah.
Right, we couldn't tell whether it
Well,
was.
yeah, they might not have done whatever work would be necessary to like nail down whether or not, you know, one side or the other would be more feasible.
Right.
Your graphic also doesn't indicate the ditches.
Let's see. We asked why there are these feedback signs, these there were 4 of them shown, and so we said, why not just 2? One is you're entering the hamlet, you know, southbound and northbound. So they are showing that. So one up at the north.
Oh,
and then one down south.
You are going those signs.
Yeah, right.
From feedback.
Those are coming in.
Yeah,
from both
Yeah, which
directions.
makes sense.
But, and then another one was bike lanes, you know, what, there's such a wide stretch of right of way, why not bike lanes? I mean,
Right?
when I picture, I think like the first week on this job, I thought I could just picture established bike lanes on both sides from Miller to Michigan Hollow, just, it makes sense there to,
And you
And-
still
and they
have plenty of
just-
shoulder left over.
what?
You still have plenty of shoulder left over.
Yeah, right, so they just, they gave it the same, just a little bit of language, just
Mhm.
long-term consideration should be given to addition of bike lanes along Danby Road. Further study is needed to determine the suitability of road for bike lanes. Accordingly, conceptual designs and cost estimates have not been developed. So pretty general, you know, and they're looking at a cost, you know, in terms of the feedback signs, high visibility crosswalks and advanced warning signs. You know, it's a cost of 45 grand. So again, this plan, the idea of this plan is to position the town to take the next step, which is to pursue funding for these improvements.
Mhm.
And at that time, they can be refined. You know, it's not like we're married to this specific solution. And what's being recommended, though, as we see with other grants, it does help to be sort of aligned at the onset.
Yeah. Positions us to, just,
Right.
just if we want to.
So there's kind of a breeze of an overview. Are there any sort of other questions about this that I could send back? I haven't sent them the comments back yet.
Actually, I mean, you got $20,000 and it's because it's 5 times 4. Is that because it's 4 crosswalks?
That was the signs, speed feedback signs. They had 4, but he said they just changed it to 2.
Yes, but I'm looking at the next line.
Yeah,
5 times 4
they're-
crosswalks and sidewalks.
Yeah,
too.
it's they're proposing just. That's actually might be a good question.
They
5.
have 3. They have 3 on that one intersection. I don't know where the 5th one is though.
This is just for Danby Road, so we would have to see
Oh.
exactly
Oh, wow.
where. Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
I mean, and sidewalk is part of that same line.
I see.
So why is it 4 times 5?
So they're showing 5 crosswalks, these little people icon.
What that is?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And if they're at the road intersections, so they're crosswalks, you know, across Miller and across Gondaman and across Hornbrook, you know.
It does look like they have one that crosses Danby Road, but it's way up north.
Where?
This
Near
Very top,
Michigan
right?
Hall.
That would be. I
Is
mean,
that what that icon is on the right? Well, no, there's several of those.
It looks like it's at Miller.
Yeah, I think it's a Miller.
They're not being clear on, are
didn't-
these supposed to
didn't come
cross
out and
96? Yeah, I mean, even one of their pictures I caught, it's from Michigan Hollow Road looking south. Past the area where we're actually focused on,
Right.
but they call it the north leg, and so.
Right.
Mhm.
They've also, it still looks to me like they put the speed things on the time when, how fast you're going when you leave, not when
Right.
you're coming in. It still looks that way on here.
It might look that way, I think, maybe it's just that
weird.
they're showing the viewer that it's
Right.
going to be right there.
Yeah,
It's the same thing with that no north or south thing. So it's just a graphic with some
Yeah.
ideas.
mm-hmm. What's that graphic on the right? Well,
This,
for that matter, there's just 3 graphics that are, that you explain what the
yeah,
sidewalk one is, or what is the
Sorry.
others?
On the right, the corner has describes it on the right.
crosswalk visibility enhancement, install high visibility crosswalk signage and pavement markings.
Oh, so they're indicating there's a crosswalk and that crosswalk has visibility enhancements.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, what I was talking about before are installing sidewalks. So the crosswalks are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and that's where maybe their numbers don't quite line up. So 1, 2.
I get
3.
5.
No, the crosswalks, I get only 5. It's the single person is the crosswalk.
Yeah,
No, there's the,
but we got, there's more enhancements than there are crosswalks, is that what you're saying?
I got the old version. The old version has 5.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I get 5, I mean.
It's the old version.
Some of the numbers just might not quite add up. Like actually, I didn't show the one down in West Danby, but the unit of measurement for crosswalk was in feet and it showed 1,200 feet. And so that's one of my questions back.
What?
Is,
Yeah.
why are they, what is 1,200 feet of crosswalk? I don't get that. So it might be worth just a real close look at some of these numbers and just ask.
More like 250 feet instead of 1,200.
Right.
If you figure the whole 50-foot right away, they're no more than that, there's something less.
So we have time, we can post this on the website, and we have time to put, there's a public hearing in 9 days, it's April 30th. It's a virtual public hearing. I put it in the newsletter for this past month. And that meeting is at 6:30 PM. It's virtual. The link I also provided in my newsletter blurb, and I think it's actually on Danby's website, I believe it should still be there. Just for other folks to know, and it can't go in this coming newsletter because the date will pass.
Yeah, it'll be out after.
Right.
Yeah.
6.
Yeah.
Take it.
And it's a public hearing for all of the town, all of the.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 I mean, it's not a public hearing, it's more of just a
Information.
information session. They're calling, virtual public meeting,
Oh, okay.
6:30, and
Meeting.
there's a flyer for that. Well, we could post that too, a little more prominently on the town website, but
It's intended to be for the whole
Right.
initiative.
Whole thing.
right. So. Any sort of other questions as we have this open and talking about it? Might be a lot. Go through, okay.
It seems,
I have one tiny comment, and that is that when people were complained about deer and deer crossings, because we had an incident that happened on West King that seems like it's a likely place, and I said something about, can't we get these warning signs? Well, the warning signs, in order to do that, you'd have to have them absolutely everywhere because deer don't look at warning signs.
they're not looking
So-
at deer, they're not cross at the deer crossing.
Right. So there was that, and anyway, some things we really want, when you really examine them, they're not logical or practicable, et cetera, et cetera. Use that word again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we could get the deer to always cross in the same place, then we could put deer crossing signs up.
That's right.
Otherwise, they just have it at
Well,
the
we could
entrance,
put-
at the entrance of town, watch out for deer, they're all over the place.
We could put corn cribs around in certain places.
We could put what?
Corn cribs.
Will the
put
deer
corn-
pay attention to the signs?
A shooting.
Yep.
They don't seem to pay attention to the traffic, so why would they pay attention to the sign?
To the corn, if we put corn cribs near the sign.
Ah, yes,
And
yes,
we teach the deer.
Yes.
Ha ha ha.
yeah, right.
Right. Anyway. we can-
Encourage them to
Yeah.
congregate around the road.
Yes.
Just to come back full circle on this, we had I think the
resolution.
note on Joel's, on the agenda was about this Vision Zero resolution.
Yeah.
Why is the town being asked to adopt this? I have it up on the screen here. And again, it's not being proposed to be moved tonight. It's just because it just got put in. In fact, they just sent us the data to add to it.
We had it last month, actually, only as a proposal, right?
Yeah, so this, and we can make copies for everyone to look at, but this would just be an addendum for all the towns that are part of this. So there's 10 municipalities as part of the safety action plan to just commit to a reduction in fatalities. I can give you a few stats. Danby actually fared pretty well.
We come up as one of the safer places. In the
Yeah, it
county.
does. So there was the data's just looking at from 20 to 2024, so just the 5 years. So the number of people that lost their lives to traffic deaths in Danby was 1 in those years. There were no pedestrians and bicyclists involved in those. Danby's the only community that it was no pedestrians or bicyclists. Not that it's a good thing that someone died, but
That's because we have so few people running around on bicycles, I guess.
you're right. And that was a comment from a lot of people is some of these stats almost look like we're really safe communities, but it's almost like the opposite is that people don't feel safe to be walking or biking around. So they're a little bit
So we're-
misleading.
With the
We're
almost
a community of good judgment.
Mhm.
The one death was Ray Mayo.
Right.
That's what I was
Yeah,
thinking,
yeah. And he was in my office like 3 days before that happened. It was, yeah.
Weird.
Yeah. Yeah, he was hit out on 96B.
Yeah. That's a weird intersection.
Definitely.
Yeah.
All right, so we could,
Greg, I'm
Well, I've
looking,
seen people drive right through that intersection. I mean, from Nelson, they don't even stop at Nelson and they just come right out. And boy, I've almost hit people that way.
That's where we need our hawk signal.
yeah, it wasn't, yeah. I think actually they initially identified that part of 96B down by Nelson and like up to Buttermilk Lane. That was the initial segment that they were looking at, but I think we had encouraged them to look closer into the hamlet.
Mhm.
Greg, I'm
There's-
looking
There's a
at your
visual thing there.
website. Do you know if this plan is posted on the website? I can find all sorts of memos and
Which website? Do you mean the Safe Streets for All website?
yeah, Safe Streets Tompkins.
If it's not there, it means that they're not trying to make it public. I've just taken the liberty of bringing this to town board meetings and planning board meetings myself.
Well, they ought to make it public before they have a public meeting, which they are proudly announcing.
Right.
You would think.
I'd love to read it if you get a chance.
Yeah, well, I'll make it available. We'll make it available at least on the town website. Yeah. We'll do that. Right.
Thanks.
Yep.
So Ted, did
So-
you go to the meeting on April 30th? There's a link there to Safe Street Tompkins.
I think that's where I got to their website. Yes.
Oh, okay.
And the website doesn't have a plan.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
got all sorts of stuff.
Yeah. So we'll act on this next one.
Yep.
We have until what, the end of,
They gave everyone until May 21st to adopt it.
yeah, so next time it's still timely.
Yeah.
So you want to schedule it for next time?
Schedule what?
The adopting resolution,
We can put it on the agenda.
yeah, that is the scheduling.
If you're thinking of having a public hearing in May, is that what?
It's not really a public hearing,
No, it's not a public hearing.
It's just a resolution, so-
Perfect, that's all. Gotcha.
but we can tell people that it's coming up, people want to comment before we act. Okay, we have the first of the second round of rehabs with the
Oh, yeah.
CDBG grant. And the first one is for 2017 Danby Road. All the materials for that were shared with the board.
Yeah.
And they're in the meeting folders in addition.
We approve the homeowners rehab at 2117 Danby Road.
Mhm. So, looked okay to me. I move that we authorize proceeding with that one.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Okay, Mariah,
Connors,
Yeah.
Hunter,
Yes.
Stein,
Yes.
Woodworth,
Yes.
Gagnon.
yes.
Thank you.
Did you do something to your mic? It's working fine now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
About that. We had at least 5 people expressed interest in mowing. But only 3 submitted proposals. And they were shared. I didn't get a chance to look at them, but Leslie did. And she tells me the 2 of them are identical.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
when I
Yeah,
printed,
exact same.
So RP lawn and landscaping, and then the other one, that more recent one is this is a logger
Right.
who has been caught in the tariff consequences. The market for saw timber being shipped to China has collapsed. And with it, the work for those who cut trees down and make the saw timber. So
So it's branching out into mowing.
He's looking at something to
Landscaping,
keep
yeah.
his crew going and to pivot to in the meanwhile.
Yeah,
So, but his bid is the same as Ron Price's, who did it last year. And Ron did a fine job, okay.
yeah, we don't have any like
They both got-
feedback or, feedback from people that they've worked for.
Well, we do with Ron, and we had,
Yeah, well,
but not with the new one, because
right,
he hasn't been doing it. I mean, he's equipping himself to do it, but he has, he's got the crew. But-
No negative feedback about last year's crew?
right.
No, I mean, I didn't get any anyway. The only feedback we had, I gave him was that, he was doing, I wouldn't say too good a job, he was doing too many mowings and we ran considerably over budget. Because the proposal is per mowing,
Right.
so it can make a big difference when it's $960 to mow everything, whether you do 13 mowings or 23.
right. Did that, he cut back as soon as you said, did he?
He did,
respond?
so he didn't mow
He
that
reacted.
very much toward the end of the
So
year.
that is feedback.
Yeah, so that's nice to hear that he responded to your feedback.
Right,
Yeah, he was very responsive, and he was also very, he was always responsive. He was very good about communicating. Anytime you send him a text or tried to call him, if he didn't answer the phone, he replied within hours.
he didn't mow the wrong
That's really important.
He didn't mow the wrong cemetery either. He got it right from the get-go.
It only happened once.
Yeah, but it wasn't Ron.
No,
It was Grant.
no, I mean,
Grant
I'd
will.
be inclined to go with Ron, and I mean, if there've been no complaints and he worked,
Right.
last year was his first year.
Yes, yeah, with us, yeah.
He's also sort of more local.
Right, I was gonna say that too.
Well, that's true.
I mean.
Yeah.
Closer.
Tom is in
In
Spencer.
what sense?
What's that?
What did you say?
Oh, I was just saying, in what sense is he more local? I wasn't sure where they both were based from.
Address is Woolseyville.
Versus
There's this other fellow's from Spencer.
Newark Valley.
Well, the third one.
Okay,
Yeah,
third one, the one from Newark.
Yeah,
but the two that are in contention, I guess, the one considerably farther away.
The question would be, are any of these, even though they have it just like everybody else has the same, like some of you have Spencer addresses, but you live in Danby, so.
Right.
oh,
Do
yeah,
we know whether they're really in that much closer is the question, I guess. I didn't, anyway, I'm kind of inclined to say we should, if we don't have complaints and there's not a difference,
Yeah.
that we also should show some continuity and that we're trustworthy. We don't take somebody and then throw them away for no reason.
yeah,
I mean, if there were complaints and there was a huge difference in price, but.
And there's no difference in price.
Right.
there's no difference. It's the same as last
Yeah.
year.
Well, hypothetically, the more you do something, the better you get at it. So, maybe this year around,
You know the
Even-
drill.
even more 3-inch long grass.
Yeah.
He mows with 3 inches too. I was pleased to find that his recommended mowing height is the one that I also use.
Oh, well, that makes all
Yeah,
the difference in the world.
It's-
Then we
mean,
have to
actually-
go with him.
I've always thought going less than 3 is too much. I mean, you know?
Yeah. Well, it favors the growth of weeds if you mow that short.
Yeah.
And it also makes the grass less drought resistant. The roots are shorter. So I guess I'm going to do that. So I'll move that we award the contract to Ron Price and RP Landscaping.
I'll second that.
I believe it's Ross Price.
Yeah, it
Is it
is.
Ross? Yeah.
Ross.
Ross
Yep, let's
Price.
get that right. Thank you.
Very good. And I'm sorry, Connors, did you second it?
Yes.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Okay, all right.
Connors,
Yes.
Hunter,
Yes.
Stein,
Yes.
Woodworth,
Yes,
Gagnon.
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh, skate park.
Skate park.
Yes.
Nah, that's not talking about.
I will say, we could let Zach do a presentation, but I
Yeah,
want
yeah.
to say one thing. I want
Yeah.
to say that I've thought one of our big problems is getting an architect. So I've been, part of my hesitation of
we
not
need
saying
one?
anything,
Yeah.
is that I didn't
Yeah.
know whether we were, how close we were on that, so,
I've talked to an architect.
yeah.
I think without absolute certainty, but he said that he can more than likely do it for, what is the cutoff? For less than $1,000, to design the structural element, drawings, everything
For the building?
for the building.
Yeah.
Which is pretty fair.
Mhm.
It's, not a small process to salvage it.
Mhm.
I have already done drawings, like sat down with him and talked to him, like his basic idea, because it's, trying to make it as safe as possible while using the least amount of material as
Mhm.
possible.
Mhm.
Which we don't need to get into the minute details on that right now. I've also started talking to people about potential grants or grant is not donation
Mhm.
Yeah.
from businesses to help with both structural supports and I have not gone much farther than that because it doesn't seem worth putting out those feelers until there's more of a certainty of things happening.
Well, I mean, the question I would ask, what needs to happen in order to move it forward?
The first thing would be approving.
And we need to do more than just saying we want a skate park. We
Yeah,
need to
I mean,
say,
you
like,
have-
we can directly get this, Nichols? The architect.
Driscoll,
Driscoll.
yeah, but,
Yeah,
Mhm.
and sorry,
sorry,
I
it
didn't
was
mean
just
to cut
to
you off.
actually present us
Yeah.
with something with help our. But I think that the town board already said yes to a skate park some time ago, which is.
Yeah,
Yeah, we think it's a good idea. There was a question of where to put it. You proposed
Yeah.
that location.
Oh, so we need
There
to
was
do that?
receptivity to that.
yeah, and obviously it's important to officially, I do not know this process of starting a park from scratch. I'm sure there's some bylaw somewhere, but I'm guessing reaching out to officially reaching out to the occupants around it. I've talked to pretty much everyone within 1,000 feet or so, except there are 2 houses on Danby Road. And I meant that I saw Gladys who lives in front of it.
I'm glad we're on a lazy.
Yeah, I forgot to talk to her yesterday when I saw her, but I talked to, who did we talk to?
Alex.
Alex.
Oh, yeah.
And they were open to it. I talked to the woman that lives behind it. There's a bunch of people.
Mhm.
There's been, y'all have gotten also, I'm guessing, a few emails of support.
Several
Yeah.
points of add.
So, going through that first, because obviously you don't want to upset neighbors and it'd be nice to have.
Well, I hadn't thought about the fact that, we could creating a state park probably ought to happen in the context of making it a town park.
Yeah,
Because right now it's just town-owned property.
sure.
It's not designated parkland.
Right, so
Do we need to
we
talk
need
to
to do,
Guy?
we need to do something.
Probably.
I mean, in talking to a guy, it might make sense to like sit down and have like a finished, like a potential finished scope, because I've brought this up before, but as you know,
Well, we probably want to do site planning for the whole property if we're gonna make it a park.
right,
You know, parking, where the skate park program,
Yeah.
what other amenities you might think about putting it in
Absolutely.
over time.
I mean, and thankfully, like the land is,
Well, I was gonna ask, how many acres is this property, is this building on?
I think it's 1.6, maybe, I'd have to look it up, sorry. But I believe it's right around that.
Yeah, it's not a huge property, but
I can look it up. while we're talking.
strategically located though.
Zach, I'll look it up. Thank you. Yeah, being able to start small with the one section, I've talked to Greg about this a little bit. Could potentially get enough traffic coming in to have an actual playground of, you know, large functional size, which could also lead to more grants. But ideally, like the skate park, it would be nice to keep it as a DIY skate park. I'm not trying to like approaching this. There are other cities that have allowed this. I mean, there's one up in, I will butcher the name of it for the rest of my.
Didn't Cantor just
Yeah.
open one?
Enfield.
No, well,
Oh.
maybe both.
Okay.
I read it in, I don't know, Talkers Weekly or
Where?
something. Cantor,
Canada's got a skate park?
I think so. Or maybe it's a Wego.
Ouigo definitely has
Yeah,
one. Yeah,
Ouigo.
I've seen that
That came
one.
up.
Yeah.
It was part of the big redevelopment.
Yeah.
So
Great, yeah.
it's a 1.3 acre site,
Thank you.
and really just designating town-owned land as a park is just a resolution of the town board. It might need to go through state environmental quality review. That might be a question for Guy of, is there seeker involved or changing it from just town-owned land into a park? But,
Because I know that, you know, once it's a park, officially declared, it's very constrained legally in terms of what you can unpark it, is not a trivial thing to do. So if we want to, you know, make it a park, we better be committed to it being a park ever after. Just as the park over here is like, you know, that front part was supposed to be where a community center would go. The rest of it was declared park. But now we can't put, the community center can't be in the rest of it because it's a park. You're gonna have to unpark it in order to make it, you know, place we could put it. So that didn't work. So, but we're not gonna put a community center in that 1.3 acre parcel over there.
And
Although there's a possibility.
the better possibility is right there
Yeah.
next door.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, exactly. So we have, you know, we have options that are better for that. And there's also
Yes, yes.
potential for the
Yes.
Shane's property. There's other
Yes,
bigger,
that's
better
true.
places.
Yeah, much better.
Can we say tonight that somebody should draw up a resolution that can be presented to Guy?
Do we need it?
What,
Well, I mean,
That's what you just said.
would a declaration, declaring it a park, would that facilitate getting money for it or?
Well,
Because it seems like the other thing that needs to be happen is to say, go ahead and have this architect come up with some
Right.
plans
there,
for how to make the building service.
so there is, I don't know how to phrase this. There is potential money that is in the town budget already for it. There's a
Right.
account that is $13,000,
Mm-hmm.
but you all would have to approve that.
Yeah,
So that right there, again, since I've designed it once, I'm sure, I know material prices have gone up just in the past,
Mhm.
Yeah,
like
3
2
hours.
weeks. I got a call from Depot. They're like, you should order now. It's going up Friday. And that was
Yeah.
2 weeks ago. I obviously, without having the final design, I can't say,
right.
Right,
but when I did it before, that actually covered without any outside donations, repairing the structure and the concrete to do everything, and ties and blocks. And so it would definitely cover the bulk of the first phase. And getting this rolling along, I could potentially start fundraising, and I'm going to talk to the local skate shop, but having other businesses put up little donation jars is how a lot of communities that do it this way do it.
We don't have
What
a whole
it-
lot of community places for people to put
Yeah.
money in a jar, but.
Yeah, but how do you, Hanoi Falls?
Anyway,
Oh,
Thank
God.
you.
Word, that's
Again, I will
yeah.
always mispronounce that town. I try so hard. I brought this up a while ago, but they had just a concrete slab that had, a few ramps on it. And I reached out to them when we had this first meeting about insurance, and because it was a town park, it'd been insured, but they had started building on their own before getting approval. And then they got approval, and now it's huge. It just keeps growing.
Mhm.
It hasn't really outpaced the size of the original concrete slab, but it's like a nationally known skate park.
Okay.
Yeah.
and we authorize $1,000 for the architectural design now.
I think the question, some of these, we look at you because you know this, so if you feel some of the thing is. We're both like waiting for good directions.
I feel like talking to the neighbors is the most important first thing.
Okay,
Like,
so
if,
the
I don't think you've already
We
done
could-
that.
well, I've done that, but I've not done that in official capacity.
Mhm.
I did that, I'm trying not to annoy the neighbors capacity.
That's
So
what you
you
still
need-
do in official
I
capacity.
know, but you're official. You
So
have
it's the
like
same
a,
thing.
So in other words, are you suggesting that we maybe have a little paper that has questions on it?
I mean,
Like a little survey? or-
what do you do when you have, like, when there's, notices sent out for, like, when I went through the BZA, everyone within 500 feet.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the usual thing, within 500 feet.
If it's different for the situation, I mean, it might be nice, and I'm
maybe it
sorry,
should be a little bigger.
but like, yeah, doing it is a larger, because,
Well-
Probably, if it's town.
It's a park.
If it's town
whole
funds,
town,
it should be the whole
Yeah,
town.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, we could put it in the newsletter, it's not like we need to mail everybody in a town if they notice that we want to create a park on Bald Hill Road.
That's different than the getting in direct feedback from the local.
From the neighbor.
That's different.
Yeah, but I think Joel's point is also
It's a town.
included because it is a town. we're
Oh, yeah,
using
no,
town
it should be
neighborhood,
everything.
so-
It's
But
been
that part
mentioned
could
before.
go into this newsletter if we get cracking,
Yes,
a little notice.
yeah,
And then the thing is, then, because it would be good if we got into this while the season's correct.
Mhm.
mhm.
And we've said yes for quite a while now. So if then the question I was asking, do we need to, should we talk about the declaration of making it a park?
Right, we need to figure out what the process is. for
Right, right,
Changing just from property to
But
park.
Greg thinks it can be done by resolution.
right.
Mhm.
So that's what I'm at. So we could do that. And then the question that
We could put,
when we
so we
asked
could,
about steps, you then said that you thought that we should talk to the neighbors first, but I think if we declare it a park, then. What
we could
else are
put,
we
we
gonna
could,
use
we
it
could put
for?
in a newsletter that we're excited about the possibility of skate park. That the property on Bald Hill Road has been identified as a potentially good place for it.
Right,
And that we're considering making that a town park.
well, I'm thinking, can we, yeah, we need to,
Yeah,
but we need not to make this go for 3 months, is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
It's
I mean, it
quickly
should
as
be on the agenda for the next meeting to declare it a park.
Why don't we do that?
Okay.
And we
let's
can
do
tell
that.
people that's what we're gonna do, you know, we're.
Is that the right thing to do, is declare it park first? That's the question. You said that can be done by resolution, Greg. Planning.
Well, we could probably declare it a park and not do it, you know, when.
Right. I mean, yeah, it's nothing wrong with declaring it a park, period. That was the other
Park,
part of my
park your
question.
car,
Yeah,
park
people
your
walk their
boat.
dogs back there
Right.
already and the cemeteries
So,
back there.
yeah, declaring it a park, but it's gonna have restrictions of stay out till we're safe.
You
Sorry,
don't need
Tyler.
to declare it parking. It is a town.
Property.
It's town property
Yeah.
already, we could do a skate park without making it a park.
Right.
Well, that's part of my, I
That
think
might-
that's what I'm asking, which is better to do.
One of the things that would be very helpful is to get the plans.
Yeah,
Get a-
but
Get a plan.
I'd like to
instead.
see, I'd like to see plans, and I'm actually curious about what you mentioned about the like extensibility of being able to add things onto it. Am I right in understanding that the initial design is inside the building?
Yes,
So you wouldn't really be able to expand it once it was already made unless you did like an additional like detached one outside, right?
yeah, I mean,
Whoa.
this is
Have like a
going
half
be,
inside, half outside.
yeah, no, absolutely. This goes beyond like just a skate park. This ideally, I think, would be like a full public park with, you know, a playground, sitting area, maybe barbecues.
Flowers?
You know,
Picnic table.
yeah, picnic tables.
Flowers and picnic tables, right?
Yeah.
Gardens.
It's right, it's a lovely site next to the creek,
It's
next
so
to the
nice.
cemetery.
I was gonna ask how close to a creek is it? Because I know when I go to the park, if I were a kid again and I wanted to go to the skate park, what I would want to do is I'd want to skate for a minute and then I'd want to go sit by the creek for a minute.
It is very close. It's actually so close.
Within
it
10
is-
feet.
It's in the new FEMA floodplain.
Floodplain.
So the big issue is we actually have to engineer the barn. It's pretty easy, but to have the flood, what are the flood baffles? What do you call
I
those?
forget what they call it, but you know, yeah.
It's more or less
You gotta-
just,
You gotta be able to let the water into the building, so it
Yeah.
doesn't take the building out.
Saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's easy. It's just holes.
So the idea for the design for the park would basically the skatable area would fill the inside of the building completely, mostly.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not that big a building.
Yeah, it's 24 by 40 feet. It's not that big.
So yeah, 24 by 40 feet, it's a pretty small amount of skatable space. It would be a pretty cozy little spot.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Then it could be extended into, you know, not all in the building, but.
Yeah, I mean, most skate parks are not inside a building.
Right.
Yeah, it's just kind of taking advantage of the situation of
Yeah.
having a unique thing that no one, like I cannot think of any public parks within a few hours. When I lived in Oregon, it was nice because there are quite a few covered ones, but it rained a little more there.
Well, not unlike
Yeah, so-
here.
So yeah, being indoors, one of the probably the major benefit would be that you could skate while it's raining, or maybe if it's windy, cold and windy, you could still skate.
Yeah, and it'd be closed in on 3 sides, so it'd be conscientious of any noise from that. It'd also be partially in the ground, so it's all just noise abatement. Is that a word?
So
Yeah.
the fourth side is open. So which
Yes.
direction does that face? Does that face the road?
It faces 96B.
Yeah, east, basically,
Yeah,
I thought it was
which is
south.
the, which is the
South.
which is the direction you would,
South,
is it south?
I think, it looks south to me, but maybe not.
Facing,
Maybe it's southeast.
facing
Yeah,
96
that's-
B is
But
south.
they say no.
No, it's not.
I don't know.
Well, it depends.
Anyway,
I don't know.
It is,
What-
you know
what-
what, we're
what's the
not
compass?
changing this, we're not
That building,
changing the
what
direction.
direction does it face?
we're not, we're not flipping it.
We're using it the way it
Really?
is.
It'll avoid the north wind.
Southeast, yeah, okay. That is nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
East would be a preference. I mean,
Anyway,
You know, never.
We're not moving the building.
Almost
Joel.
never rains from
Let's
the
keep
east.
moving, we're gonna get sidetracked.
We know we
Let's
could
get
move
to
the
the-
building if we wanted, because it's just sitting.
Not
on the walls.
with it.
We entertained other comments. Mark has been with a question.
So just quickly, are there budget or insurance considerations with the town's insurance? Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty inexpensive.
Yeah.
I think it's like
Yeah.
$1,000 or
I mean,
$1,100.
compared to the liability we have with running a swimming program at the pond,
Yeah.
this is minuscule.
Yeah, so when we, just as a note, when, because I live in Enfield, so we helped build a skate park last year and we had the same question about insurance.
Yeah.
And it was just, the insurance had already covered, it wasn't an increase in the insurance, but obviously, Dan, we should check on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
And the
Did
other
Enfield
thing that
declare
it's,
it to us, or
No, it's
Just
Enfield
property.
never, no,
town property?
they declared it the Enfield Skate Garden.
Oh,
So it's a little crossover, but yeah,
Mhm.
so there's a half pipe there right now. But yeah, one of the initial questions was, how does this affect our insurance? And there was a lot of
Right.
worries about that.
In fact, this is a question I think worth asking.
Yeah.
Given the nature of that building,
Yeah.
would it make sense to move it?
no,
No.
No.
no. No.
No. We're gonna move it. Yeah,
Yeah, right.
if we're
That's-
moving it,
that's
let's just
foolish.
give up on that.
Yeah,
You think of it, that happened, it's not as heavy.
then
Yeah,
you have
some
all sorts of
information.
other
let's
things.
say,
and
let's
risks.
be a little more practical on this.
And
This
we
is
don't, there's no reason to, so there's
Right.
no reason
Yeah,
to.
it's-
Well, the only reason would be to get it away from the creek and the
Resurrecting a
flood.
historic building.
Yeah, it's moving it, I mean, where it'll be, not a problem. The whole inside, I've designed it so it's lined in 3/4 inch pressure treated ply, like
Mhm.
floor to ceiling, so it will have like multiple buffers. And it's all.
That's not what he said. I think you
I
had
know.
asked me about flood zone, but you explained,
There-
explain that,
it's-
explain that. It has.
You would have to move it so far.
No, not that.
Would you?
What you. how
Only
you mitigate
1.3
the flood zone.
acres.
You said
True.
something so that water has to
Oh,
flow through.
Just the whole.
That's all that has to
Yeah.
happen to it, the
Yeah.
flood zone.
And it'll have a drain in it too, so.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, as it is, it's up on blocks, but it's not very up on blocks, but you put up a little bit more, and you
I
have
have
the water
plenty of
coming out
pictures of
underneath, you know?
That's why we need designs
Yeah.
with all those details worked out
Yeah.
instead of talking about it without knowing any of that stuff.
Yeah.
So I think the next thing should be to get design.
May I add a little bit of information?
Well, sure.
I thought I heard sure, so I think you touched on this, but I'm not sure I heard this specific information. You can call it a park, but if you actually make it a park, in New York, I'm actually reading something here. In New York, land designated as parkland cannot be sold or diverted to other uses without authorization from the New York State Legislature.
That's what, talking about being very difficult to unpark land.
Yeah, that's what it will.
Yeah, we are.
And-
Alienation, yeah.
And furthermore, even if,
Right.
and again, I'm reading an example, even if a village owns land and uses it as a golf course, expending funds for improvement and continued use of the land as a golf course for a long time can be seen as dedication to parkland status, meaning you can't do anything with it without permission from the legislature. So you should at least do
Not
this in a
naming-
way that protects the town's interests in the land.
Or also protects the parks, of the idea of having a place that kids can do this.
Right.
Yes.
Well, yes, as I said,
Safely.
if we're gonna designate it as a park, it's easier to get in than to get out. you know?
Well, I think we've exhausted that.
I mean-
We've
Yes,
heard
yeah.
some other names.
Yeah,
We don't have to.
Yeah.
it's
We could
also,
call it a garden.
yeah,
Yeah,
and it's gonna be hard to unpark it once it's like a
Once
park.
it's- once it's
anyway.
park-
Yeah, exactly. That's right.
Like,
That's right.
You all
All
know.
this talk is
Well, the
eliminates
one-
the reality
Yeah.
of what it will be.
yeah,
the one question would be if there were a limitation for how much we could improve it or change it or add playground, and that's the possibility, then that would be to be avoided. So we want to find out the most,
Why would there be any constraint?
because of what you said and what Ted just said. Unparking it or changing it. If we don't have to do, if we
We don't have
don't
to
need
call
a
it parking.
constraint, then let's not
Right.
put this constraint in.
Yeah, the only reason to
Yeah.
not to would be if we wanted to retain the possibility of converting it to another use. Like if we wanted to say, well, we might want to build a community center there.
This might be more flexible to.
Just leave it
right.
flexible. That's what, yeah, the most flexible determination or
Yeah.
classification.
I mean, I have a note here that we had previously decided to put declaring it a park as a resolution for the next meeting. It sounds like we're backing away from that.
Right,
Yeah.
let's back away from that.
Mhm. One of the things you could not do in a park
Yeah.
is build a community center.
Well, that's what I was just
To,
saying.
we've been talking about that.
Not on
Okay,
that
so let's
property.
make the right thing.
So what do we want to do? We want to authorize the,
Top of the-
coming up with plans for the building.
That's what we need to do first before we do anything else.
I think that it's helpful to do this conversation and figure out what.
That's
not
what I
just-
think we need to do.
I know you're saying plans, but we're
Yeah.
talking about designating the land safely, so the plans can go on it. That's what I think we're talking about. If I'm wrong, then somebody tell me I'm wrong.
I mean, it seems,
But if we're not doing it as, the only designation we've been talking about is the park, and it seems
Well,
like we don't want to do that.
Instead of saying that we're contemplating making that property a park, we can say we're contemplating putting a skate park on that property.
Right, right.
Is that better?
Yeah.
hey, I'm not a lawyer.
I'm not either. I'm asking for the advice of the people who know the most and.
And
as a
you can
planner,
put that
it's
notice
a
in the
pretty good
paper, so
idea.
again, people know that we're planning a skate park there.
Sorry. I just want us to be careful. I just don't want us to do something that we have to undo and make it the least,
Yeah.
the least restrictive, but make sure it can be used to do this.
We can put a skate park on town property
Right.
anywhere we want to.
Okay,
Yeah,
then that's
right.
what we should do. And then if we want to add the playground, we can add a playground on
Right.
on the community
Yeah.
property. Okay.
You know, it is interesting, you know, when you say like, we can put it anywhere on town property we want, then, you know, like, what's stopping us from, I mean, maybe not getting started, but I mean, you know, what's the holdup?
Well, there is no holdup. We
Yeah,
talked
let's
about
go.
maybe doing it on the town hall property at one point. Until
Well, I
Zach
mean,
came up with this great idea of salvaging this building on the highway property. It was
I think,
actually,
you know,
give him credit.
when we look at the plans for the building, you know, that's going to be something, you know, I guess I just don't really know how to judge. I guess full disclosure, I'm not a skater myself. So, you know, when I look at the skate park, I'm going to be like, there's some ramps here and some things to skate on. But I mean,
Right.
how do we judge, like, you know, this is a good design? Like, should we get some skaters involved? Are you a skater, Zach?
Injuries
Yeah.
that have occurred.
Yeah,
Way
Yeah,
experience.
we need a committee of experienced skaters to critique the plan. What
Oh,
you think?
God,
that's-
let's not start this.
That might be a
it's
good
gonna be
idea.
important. That'll be important that the skate park is a good skate park. You know, I mean, I don't mean any offense implying that Zach's design, you know, that I haven't seen might not be good, but I think, you know, people are going to want to come if it's fun.
Right.
But I
Is
think
there-
we
is
also
there
have more
another word
information
besides
because we
park
have the,
Right?
That
you
would,
have information
that
from
is
the
used to
Newfield one
describe
as
these
well.
places,
Yeah.
like a skate play, you know.
She's asking.
Like the
instead of saying
design?
skate-
No,
No,
just
she's
to-
saying.
I'm trying
instead of
to-
saying skate
is there a
park,
way to get
a
away from the
skate building,
word?
a skate rink?
Well, what else?
Skate rink. Yeah, skate, skate,
Skate features.
skate zone,
Skate
Yeah.
feature.
skate features.
sculpture
property.
park. No, there are places that is what they call it, is a sculpture park.
Really?
Yeah.
Leave out the
Around-
word park.
We
Sculpture
have the
garden.
word park.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
No, it
theater.
doesn't matter.
Okay,
We
I
gotta do a
think
skate
that-
garden, right?
We can call
Like
it a
Enfield.
park, as long as we don't make the property a park.
Right.
We can call it the skate hole,
Skate.
the
skate
skate
park
pit.
Skate park is typical and that's what
Yeah,
people
it's the
understand.
easiest.
That's the
Why-
community
Skateable
understands it,
surface.
so
Yes.
it's it.
Yeah,
Whatever.
why would we want to call it anything else?
Yeah.
No, I think the only reason we started doing that is because we were afraid using the designated
Right.
word park,
Yeah.
but we are not declaring it
I mean,
park, we're declaring building this place on that town plan.
We're doing a skate park.
here's the thing. Are you really gonna unpark this once it's fully parked?
Not
I
likely,
was
I'm
wondering
like-
about that too.
In our lifetimes,
not likely.
Great,
like.
I mean, a 1.3 acre park,
Yeah, right.
what
it's a
kind of
small-
damage could that possibly cause?
Pretty small.
Well, if you needed a place to put a municipal septic system, you couldn't put it under a park.
Yeah, but we would have to destroy a giant concrete skate
Do
park
so.
to be able to do it.
Yeah, that's correct.
Skate park.
That's correct.
Right.
So-
make the
Look at
steps.
drawings.
Yeah, I think we ought to
Maybe we need to-
authorize the architectural drawing.
So can we,
$1,000.
while we're talking about this and architects,
Mhm. Crosswalk?
the crosswalk,
Mhm.
because I also spoke to him about that
Mhm.
for the
Right.
$50,000 crosswalk.
Right.
So
Don't even use that word.
I know, I'm kidding. But you know, it might be nice to get,
It would be lovely.
just, you know,
'Cause that's-
while you're doing the
that's what's
thing,
stopping
Yes,
us
yes,
there.
yes.
do two of the things.
Oh,
And I know there might be another engineer coming.
We've heard it for a little while.
But they've been telling us, well, they didn't actually tell us they were gonna do it, did they? They did, it was sort of unresponsive for a long time.
They'll submit one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's getting it, bundling it together, just make it easy, because, you know, I've said a million times, I'll do these crosswalks, for, you know.
Not the
later.
crosswalk, but the landings that we have to worry about.
That's what I mean, sorry,
Same thing.
the landings, the end zones,
The only thing that's stopping us from getting started is architect.
yes.
And it would be nice if you have, it would be fine if TG Miller wants to give us a thing, that's fine.
Well, you
But
need,
let's get rid,
you need
Nick
two,
Driscoll.
you need two bids, though.
Yes,
And I
right.
know Driscoll said it's going to be more than $1,000, I do not think it is going to be more than $50 bajillion.
Well, if they're listed separately.
Bajillion.
Bajillion,
Yes, right.
it's like times another one.
Yeah, if that'd be two quotes, if they quote and
That- that's-
that's what we now
Yeah,
need.
And
Right.
the big thing about him is like, very kind human being. I ran into him in front of his office
Me
and
too.
he was just like, you know, it's great to see that this, you know, that your community is doing this, that they're investing in like
So
infrastructure.
the question I started to ask is
Yeah,
if you
sorry.
have two
Yeah,
and they're both under 1,000, is that?
they're not gonna be
They
under
won't
1,000.
be, yeah.
There's no,
Okay, so one of them might be, the one for the skate park,
Oh, that.
yeah, that
design,
one,
I'm talking about design.
yeah,
If we have a design quote
Yeah.
for the skate park and it comes under 1,000.
Yeah.
And we have a design quote for here and it comes under 1,000.
if we, no. So
That one.
you can explain this better because
It'll cost too much. It'll cost more.
yeah,
The
my,
design.
yeah, if
Is
it's,
design gonna cost that much for the landings, for the?
I
This
mean-
was gonna be more because it was going to include the entire, everything about the
But
town hall.
Does
even
it
when
need
they were
to?
saying, well, they don't need to. No, this is like solely talking, like when I talked to him, I just talked about the crosswalk. And I don't think, when we're speaking to Miller, they said for the whole property.
Right,
But also before he said the entire property, I could be wrong. Because
it was windy and cold and rainy and freezing.
yeah, it
So
was.
what were you thinking? when he
What I'm
said-
saying is, it's still gonna be more, like, he was acting like the design was going to be,
More money.
I think we said. We
I
asked
think that was when we were talking about
5,000?
everything.
Okay.
This is what got us in trouble. Just let's ask.
But that's
Driscoll
Miller.
For one and.
He's
ask TG Miller
not,
for one.
he's not, I talked to him about it
Yeah.
and he didn't give me a number because it's like, I need to see,
Yeah, he needs
you
to
know,
see
he
it.
needs to see it. He has to have the layout.
So
What
we're
was he,
still
what was he
way back.
proposing? Was he proposing, you know, ADA pathway to the building? Is that why you want to look at the whole property?
No,
No.
Joel, wait, just hang on a minute, because this
Yeah,
is getting out of hand.
Well,
What
no,
we're
that's what I
talking
was
about-
actually wondering.
No, that was
Why are they talking
when,
about property?
when the four of us met with TG Miller, three of us met with TG Miller.
Mhm.
That person, David, or what, that person from TG Miller asked
Is it Dave
us
Harris?
if we wanted to consider
Oh.
having a topographical whole thing that included everything about this property in the event that we wouldn't have to
with
get.
the ADA.
If we got.
Which-
What
That was
was
the-
the point of it though?
Yeah, but that wasn't, when we first called him, we only talked about the crosswalk.
Yeah,
And then he said, if we wanted, would you like, and I, of course, think, yeah, that's a great idea, until we realized what we might be talking about, a lot of money, but the idea was that we asked just for the crosswalk landing pads, because that's what's
Okay.
required
Yeah.
for the crosswalk. He suggested, if we're doing this, do you want us to look at everything just in case, because we need to redo something about the parking lot, so we don't all fall off, and then if we back up too far.
yeah.
and
And there's a whole question
everything.
of,
Yes.
accessible pathway to the entry.
Sure.
Yes, but that was added on to it was not
It's not necessarily associated with the crosswalk.
correct. And we can have an estimate just for the crosswalk.
Okay,
Yes.
Yeah,
And
Cool.
am I hearing that what we really want is just an estimate for?
Well, right,
Yeah.
Yes.
yes, we would like the crosswalk.
And they weren't very involved. I mean, the one
Right.
was integrated into the bus.
Right.
To a
On the other
degree,
side, yeah.
and then that side, I think it just kind of came in and tapered.
He said it didn't even have to go,
Yeah.
technically it doesn't, and I think we asked, Valerie said it doesn't have to go all the way to the handicap
Any
parking
place.
lot or
No.
the
Yeah.
place or
I mean, if
anything.
you're gonna do that, it's not that easy to do because the slope is too steep, you know.
Correct,
do
so-
Back and
so
forth going in order
We
to
want,
get this.
we want the crosswalk.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's, it's the
Right.
same thing as everything else. It's if you get started, that will enthuse the people. And the people will sign up to help or throw money in a jar
Yeah.
at, all these different
Yeah.
places, but,
And I mean, the actual, like, I need to call and find out insurance costs just to insure myself, but like the material cost. The nice part is I'm repeating myself and I'm sorry, but you can use it would obviously be the quickest if I had multiple people helping
well, obviously, yeah.
to have a truck come down, but you can use the quick set 5,000 PSI mix. That actually is DOT standards because it has high enough.
You're talking about the crosswalk now, or you're talking about
The landing.
The landing.
The landing, right.
Yeah, so it's 5,000 PSI, which is, I think,
Yeah, plenty.
it's plenty,
Yeah,
obviously.
yeah.
And then your truncated domes, which is your rumble strips.
So, yeah, is that what they call those things?
Truncated domes. Oh, yes, trust me, I did so much research
This
on
is
that.
this
You
is
mean
for the,
this big,
is assuming-
that big?
but do those even apply? Because-
Yeah, you have.
Because I mean, they would apply if you had a curb and a curb cut.
No,
No.
it's part of it. It's
Yeah, so it does, the designs that, from what I remember on DOT, they do have little cuts. I can't remember the angle, but yeah, it has the truncated domes and I think even going on a high end tile or sunken dome is maybe $300 to $400 a side.
Mhm.
So we need to get estimates from TJ Miller and Driscoll.
Yeah,
For both of those things.
cool,
Good.
good
I
talk.
assume the estimates will we be giving them what we want and then they give us the estimates or, that's usually what happens.
Mhm.
TG Miller already has the
They-
thing
but
from,
does- Okay,
and he has.
Well, we have the specs from the state,
They've
right,
got
as
the
far as what the
specs.
landing
And-
needs to be.
And
okay,
getting Driscoll down here
okay,
would be ideal
okay.
to get.
All right.
I'm so hungry, my dad's.
So that's- I know.
dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah, it's getting that second, but getting him out here and, taking pictures and,
Okay.
Right, right.
whatever.
how long did we spend on this?
Well, we
This
haven't
is
said
something
it
we all
yet.
want?
We need
I know,
we need
so
a,
let's-
we need a resolution to
Yes.
authorize proceeding on hiring the architect.
Now,
I
we
mean,
get quotes first.
Yeah,
And then we
Good.
base
We're gonna
it
get
on the
the-
quotes we get. So we need to ask for quotes.
is that what we're doing? We're not
Yes.
hiring him to produce the quote?
Excuse me. At what point does prevailing
we-
wage
Joel.
come into this?
Stop.
I don't have control.
Who does?
prevailing wage on what?
Stop.
Oh, you're right.
Town
Sorry.
project.
Come on.
It's done.
So we're authorizing funds to get quotes for the land, for the crosswalk and for the skate park.
Yeah.
I move that.
Okay, second that.
Lose what?
Authorizing getting quotes for
getting
both the
quotes.
crosswalk and for
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
building, the building, right? Or
Skate park.
The skate park.
The build, yeah, we're doing, we don't need architect
Quote.
plans for the
For the skate park.
skate park
For the
itself.
part that's in the
Yeah.
building, but the
It's
building,
playground
it's the
equipment.
building that needs to have somebody,
I thought we needed
Official
some
stamp
architect
on it.
for that. We don't,
For the playground equipment?
no, not for the playground, but no, that's down the
The
road.
building?
For the. for
The skate park is
skate
playground
park.
equipment. It counts,
Oh.
since it doesn't hold water.
Whatever way it's pronounced.
all right.
Okay.
So all we're doing now is just asking for quotes for.
Correct.
Yeah.
For doing that. Okay,
Cool.
are we ready to vote on it?
Okay,
Okay, Mariah,
I just want to confirm that Gagnon seconded that.
yes.
Thank you. Okay, Connors,
yes,
Hunter,
Yes,
Stein,
Yes.
Woodworth,
Yes,
Gagnon,
Yes.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, thank you guys. I'm so glad I don't have to bother you about that. We're gonna
Well, I
go.
mean, it's just
Go
it's just a matter of identifying
I know.
what are the next step in the process that we're committed to.
Yeah.
Pursue.
No. Thank you. I really appreciate
I would say don't give up on it yet, Zach.
it. Oh, no, and I'm annoyingly persistent. Yeah, he is.
Other items to the
Wait.
agenda.
Were you gonna say something, Greg? Giving you the notes? Okay, but don't forget whatever it is on your mind about it. Okay, deal.
Do we need the Taps Across America? Does that need any kind of board action?
We did that
we did
last
it-
time
we-
for eternity.
For as long as they want to
somebody
keep it
said
going.
Yep,
Yep,
So we don't,
Yep.
just need to put an announcement in the newsletter, right? The Taps.
correct.
yep.
Okay. Anything for next time? Want to add?
I just want to put a reminder, and it's going to be in the newsletter, that next time the students from Cornell's Design Connect
that's
program are
right.
going to give their final presentation.
Right.
And I know that those are usually at the beginning of meetings, but
Mhm.
just to give everyone a heads up.
That's May.
May
5th.
5th,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I can put basically under reports.
sure.
There is a public hearing, but it's probably not gonna be,
Right, the public hearings on the flood law.
yeah,
I'm sure that's not.
I don't think it's gonna be.
Right.
Okay.
Do you think they
Otherwise,
Altered it a lot or hard to tell?
Who knows? I think they said they got a lot of feedback, and I'm sure the feedback was all over the map.
Yeah.
And I gave them some just sort of general
Yeah.
feedback too, and.
you're talking about the flood law now?
No, no,
No,
no,
I'm talking
the
about the
students.
design. Connect
The
program.
Oh, Design Connect, yes. Yeah, how they revise is going to be interesting to see.
We'll see.
Yeah. Okay, so with that, and end the meeting. Thank you for those, everybody here.
Drive safely, Tyler.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I'll be back tomorrow. Thanks a lot. See you guys.
Still light out.
I know. Crazy.
This is annoying.
Are you ending you ended up there?
I'm trying to get the arrow to go on the X that ends the meeting, and it goes someplace else, but where I want it to go. Okay, there we go.